You're now tuned into the Truenorth.Bet podcast. Truenorth.Bet, always a bet in the right direction. Of course, we have sports, casino, live casino, esports, Canada's own sportsbook, Truenorth.Bet. And I'm your host, Brandon Graham. We cannot wait to get into this, the Truenorth.Bet NFL podcast, sponsored by Truenorth.Bet. This podcast can be found on all of your listening platforms, all of your podcast platforms, whether it may be, and especially on YouTube as well, too. But today I want to get into specific topics. Okay, it's been a long time coming. We pretty much have one more week until we're back into NFL football. I can't wait to pretty much get it started. It's going to be exceptional, but I'm going to have a specific topics that we're going to kind of cue on and focus on. And I think this today, especially because they're close to the border, it's a team that has been at the precipice, been there, right knocking on the door, get to the Super Bowl, and of course make it come true and have a lot of aspiration, a lot of high hopes, as well as a lot of critics on their back as the new team to take over, to be there in the Super Bowl at the end and outcome of the AFC. It is the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, many people have said they might even finish 15-2, but they have a very tough schedule to start the year, and everything is nationally televised with the game that happened last year in the AFC semifinal game against the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the best playoff games of all time. That pretty much set up, the drama that we're going to see unfold now with Josh Allen going up against, Patrick Mahomes, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, all of these guys in that team, Devin Singletary. You can go down the list now with Von Miller in the fold. Many guys on defense that have proven themselves, like Jordan Poyer, and being these pretty much being the Pro Bowl team that they were, not having any Pro Bowl players last year, but still having number one defense, which doesn't make any sense. Not going to have Tre'Davious White to start out, but this team is poised to go on a run, and they start out this season to be the first game of the NFL season in SoFi Stadium against the LA Rams, as they go up against the LA Rams. Of course, that is coming this Thursday, but I want to start with Josh Allen. Okay, Josh Allen has been ranked as the number one quarterback for this year, where Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes are the ones leading him from there. Okay. They did, despite finishing 11-6 last season, they've had a lot of positives, and they made it work when they need to. Of course, the Bills Mafia, all the support they have around them, playing really well in the cold. Josh Allen has it all. And today, past not too long ago, Stephon Diggs went on to the Pat McAfee show and said that he believes Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the league. And he says it's not just because he's my quarterback, it's simply because of what he can do. He's a leader. He's someone that can run. He kind of imposes fear in defense, and he really does that on a regular basis. And it's something that I believe that everyone has seen, especially when you see the arm talent, him coming out of Wyoming, not being pretty much heavily recruited at all. He was not recruited at all. Had to go to JUCO, get seen by the Wyoming, who was one of the only teams that gave him an offer. And now, to this day, he knows he's one of the best players because he has a monster arm. He reads defenses pretty quick. He processes information very quick as well, too. And he gets the ball out to guys like Gabe Davis, the guy, Isaac McKenzie, Stephon Diggs, of course, Dawson Knox. This team has everything they need to be successful, of course. And you have Devin Singletary that did become one of the top 5 running backs by the end of the year with this production. But a lot of what they have, a lot of this team has, is on the offensive side, but they've bolstered a lot on the defensive side as well, too. They have dogs, just some dogs. They have Big G, who's a new guy coming in the second year. Is going to be really, really good as well, too, coming off the line. Of course, Von Miller is going to bring that leadership after coming off of a Super Bowl himself. You have everything it takes to kind of put it together, and it's going to be something that we're going to look, and we're going to have a lot of our eyes on Josh Allen. I even thought that they had it enough to get it done last year, but going into that game and not getting a chance to combat and go against pretty much go, on another drive in overtime against the Kansas City Chiefs, that was taken away. But now, since the rules have been changed, hopefully, if they are in that position again, the offense gets a chance to go out there and score the ball once again. And I expect Gabe Davis to have a monster year as well, too. He, if you're thinking about fantasy, he had close to 20 points in fantasy every week in the last 5 weeks, which pretty much means he had more than 6 receptions in the last 5 weeks, and just making sure he gets open, running really, really precise skinny routes, so on and so forth. He did a really good job of getting open. I think it's Super Bowl bust for the Buffalo Bills. It was Super Bowl bust last year. They didn't get there, but I think this year you're going to have the Bengals, Cincinnati Bengals. You're going to have the and then the re-bolstered Kansas City Chiefs there again too. You're going to have some teams in the AFC that are going to make it very tough, but I think down the line, what they have on both sides of the ball, they're the only ones that can get in their way, and it's going to be very tough for any team to knock them off. Seeing Stephon Diggs, knocking at the door to get that Super Bowl, seeing this team going to four state Super Bowls in the '90s, losing them all. This is the time, and as long as they have these guys in the fold and they're still young, especially with Josh Allen getting paid, Stephon Diggs getting paid, all these guys getting paid with that team, that will be a team you need to make sure you watch out for and go from there. Did have college football get underway this past weekend. Of course, Ohio State came on top. All the number one teams, all the top 25 teams, for the most part, did get up on top. Of course, Oregon got embarrassed. We had teams not necessarily get off on the best foot. For Notre Dame, obviously losing to Ohio State, and they're number 5 in the nation. So a lot is going to change, but that's something that we'll get into in another podcast. Just want to let you guys know, of course, for all those people that love college football, this will be your home for college football. But this is primarily a NFL focused podcast that I wanted to get into today. In this league, and what we have right now is a lot of college and receivers and quarterback tandems are starting to get together now in the NFL. Okay, now we have it with Kyler Murray and the Hollywood Brown, right? Them coming from and doing a lot of damage in Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley's offense, now teaming up together in Arizona with Cliff Kingsbury, James Conner. That team is someone that I think that you're going to have to keep your eyes on, especially as they wait for DeAndre Hopkins to get back into the fold later on in the season. So that's going to be something we have to look at. I'm definitely look at it from there. We do have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase coming from LSU. Of course, them having Justin Jefferson as well in the fold back in college. Them, getting the chance to put it all together and be one of the scariest tandems in leagues because they're really familiar with each other. And it takes a lot of time to get that foundation sorted. So already having that time in college, now transmitting into the pros, it's a very smooth transition as the college game is a pass heavy game. And of course, coming into NFL, more so as becoming pass heavy. They're taking a lot of the concepts from college football, bringing it to the pros, still running the ball really well, but at the same time, still spreading the ball a lot more. And that's the reason why these quarterbacks get paid so much altogether. But it's very, very fun to see that happen. And we even see from the Fresno State tandem in Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, them putting it together and being teaming up in Las Vegas. It really shows you what you solidify in university goes a long way, right? You're really good friends in university. The guys are around all the time. You grow together, you mature together, and now, of course, in your professional life, you understand what your mindsets are, and that's the reason why they'll probably work really well. But I'm really hesitant to say that Derek Carr and Devontae Adams are going to be problems this year. Of course, many of you have you've taken Devontae Adams as one of your top picks in your fantasy football drafts. It is Devontae Adams after all, but it's Derek Carr. Okay. Many people have said, oh, Derek Carr is not ready for this. So Derek Carr has shown glimpses of some, being a stellar quarterback. Yes, he has, but he's really failed in many, many occasions as well. And this is going to be one of his last chances. And I think he's been very fortunate to be given all these chances. And yes, he has had a number of coaches throughout the years. I'm not having a solidified coach now, but with of course, the new coaches in the fold, seeing exactly that Las Vegas has a lot of money wrapped into what they're supposed to be doing. Seeing that they have a lot of guys that have experience as well too, being in this particular franchise. Of course, with Josh McDaniels is trying to get that up. All of his experience he's had with New England Patriots. He's going to form a good team around him, a good foundation around Josh Jacobs. Around, of course, on defense, you have Max Crosby, Derek Carr, Devontae Adams. You have guys that have proven themselves throughout the year and simply have shown that they have some glimpses of greatness, and they're going to have a really tough time with the likes of Kansas City. Of course, the LA Chargers in that particular division, and the Denver Broncos now with Russell Wilson getting paid as much as he did to kind of make it go from there. And of course, you don't have Tim Patrick with the Denver Broncos, but Jerry Jeudy, like the Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, they have to show up for Russell Wilson. I think they will, because Russell Wilson is a very good quarterback. So all of the quarterbacks in that division, everything you have in that division is going to be exactly It's extremely interesting to see as we go forward. Many people have even said that the Minnesota Vikings will be a problem this year with a new head coach. Kirk Cousins being able to let it fly a little more, him putting on some muscle, being more of a leader. Don't know why that wasn't the case with Zimmer around, but apparently now it's something that everyone's been talking about. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Irv Smith Jr., Dalvin Cook, Madison. You have a proven O-line, an O-line that's supposed to be really good with trap offenses, moving the line of scrimmage, getting out there. They've done a really good job with that over the years. But the defense still has a lot of holes and stuff they need to put together. So say that they're going to be a team that's going to be, guns blazing. It's a very big reach. And I know a lot in the offseason, right before the season starts, a lot of players, have their own predictions and whatnot, and they do reach. Many have said that Kirk Cousins will be a MVP candidate this year. He has looked good in the preseason and, of course, in practice and whatnot. You've seen a lot of good things, but it's still preseason. Kirk Cousins has not shown that he is a top quarterback in this league. He's a great arm. He's a reliable guy, but he's kind of in that second to third tier of quarterbacks in general that you would trust with your franchise. And he's not a number one guy like a Josh Allen, a Herbert, Mahomes. You can say Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, all these guys that have shown and proven that they can lead their teams. They have strong attributes, strong leadership, so on and so forth. So that's something that definitely keep your eyes on as we go off. But with that being said, you let me know, where do you think the Buffalo Bills will end up, right? Will it be 15-2? Will they be dominating teams like the New England Patriots, the Miami Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill in the fold, Chase Edmonds? You have some guys that need to be able to be, leaders and producers from the start with Jalen Waddle. But how do they put it all together? We will never know until around the third week, fourth week, where where teams are kind of being set up, right? And of course, there are going to be injuries. And that's something that follow along throughout the year. But Josh Allen is poised to have a really big year. I see him being my MVP, but it really depends on how they protect him, how he plays, and if he can, stay out of injuries, say, because he does run the ball a lot more, is without Brian Daboll this year. It's going to be something to definitely keep your eyes on as we go from there. With that being said, Tom Brady was ranked number one in the NFL preseason top 100 players, and of course being voted by his peers. He led the league in passing yards last year at the age of 44. Like, this guy is a different animal. Probably the most professional guy you will ever see in the NFL, most successful player ever to play the sport of football. And he's coming back with a team where now he has Julio Jones, he has Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and Leonard Fournette in the backfield. And they're poised to make a jump this year as well, too, and be consistent. But you can never judge them too much in the regular season, because they will get their wins. They will beat teams they need to beat because it is Tom Brady. He takes incredible care of his body, drinks a lot of water. It's the reason why everyone says that this new TB12 is the reason why they're still where they are and why he's still playing. Was retired for 40 days, comes back. He's going to be a guy. I think that's going to be a team you have to have your eyes on, because they have proven it. Tom Brady is dangerous. He knows this game inside and out. He knows defenses inside and out. You cannot surprise him, and he has the guys around him to make it work. The defense will still be good. They've added some strength around a little bit on the D line as well in the secondary a little bit. They've gotten better. They've proven themselves over years or year after year. They're going to have a really tough test for the first 4 games, but it will be interesting to see how they progress this year. And that's a team definitely to look at and look for, of course, too, right? And even you should keep in mind that who knows if Gronkowski comes out of retirement around November, around that time, you don't know. Shout out to Justin. You never really know what will happen when it comes to that. Really, really interesting to see exactly what will happen in the coming years. And let's talk about, briefly about the LA Rams. Allen Robinson's your second receiver. They got Cooper Kupp. Don't have OBJ. Of course, Van Jefferson's a little bit injured right now. He's going to be gone for a bit. You have Tyler Higbee. Defense, of course, has Aaron Donald. You have some guys that are going to be playing pretty well, but they're going to be good as well. They're going to be good because Matt Stafford is a great player. There has been some rumors about him having a shoulder injury, but apparently it's been sorted out. Let's see how they play this year, because everyone's going to key on Cooper Kupp. Everyone's going to key on what they have. You don't have that bailout receiver as an OBJ that would open up a lot for Cooper Kupp and other guys in the field. You have Cam Akers. Can that team bounce back and play well? What's going on in San Francisco? That same division, all right? AFC South, like AFC West. What's going to happen with the Arizona Cardinals? But with the San Francisco 49ers, with the likes of Trey Lance, and now you sign back Jimmy Garoppolo for a year. What's going to happen there? You got George Kittle. It's going to be, there's a lot of questions in that particular division on what's going to happen throughout the entire year, especially with DeAndre Hopkins coming back later on, who's going to be an impactful player, regardless of what happens. There's a lot of questions to kind of have or had on to think about with that being said. Okay. So you let me know what you feel about the AFC West and how you see that all shaking out. San Fran has a great defense. Of course, in that division too, the LA Rams have a good defense as well too. It all comes back to what will happen in the 10th week. And now we have 17 games. It's going to be even tougher to see how these teams can sustain themselves throughout the course of the year, because there's just a lot he needs to do. Those are just something I want to touch on, because I'm going to have another episode again this week talking more about the matchups and talking more about what to look for. Now everyone's doing their fantasy drafts. Make sure you guys, good luck to all. Look at Fantasy Pros sometimes. You want to see the rankings and then choose accordingly, because, of course, one guy can be ranked low but still have a breakout year. And that is something that you can even say from the Detroit Lions. A lot of those guys, I think, are going to have a big year this year because they have so much to prove. There's just a lot to prove. There's a lot to do. Once again, this is the Truenorth.Bet NFL podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Graham. Really glad that we got a chance to speak and go through most of these topics that, of course, a lot of people are talking about. Buffalo Bills, do not be surprised if they're going to be 15-2 this year. Don't be surprised if they win a lot of games and, of course, win the Super Bowl. Don't be surprised if Josh Allen is going to be the MVP, because they have all the pieces. But they're going to have a target on them because they have such a great team. But this is the Truenorth.Bet NFL podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Graham. Make sure to follow us, like, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you may find your podcast at any particular point. I'm looking at myself right now, and of course, I'm letting you know. First Step Podcast. Truenorth.Bet podcast. We're going to make sure we give you guys the best case. But this is Truenorth.Bet podcast. I bet in the right direction at all times. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be back very soon. Let me know what you think about the Buffalo Bills this year, and keep balling.